Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to another Big Finish audio drama review. In today's review, I'm going to be taking a look at the latest release from the Torchwood main range, which is of course Iceberg, as written by Grace Knight, featuring Dr. Owen Harper, as portrayed by Bern Gorman. Now, of course, previously, last month, I did take a look at Tropical Beach Sounds and Relaxing Seascapes 4, as written by Tim Foley, featuring the ominous voice that was, of course, Michael Palin. And to put it completely bluntly, I bloody enjoyed reviewing that release. I really did. I enjoyed experiencing the audio drama, and more importantly, I enjoyed reviewing it, and I enjoyed discussing the story overall and sharing it with you guys. And I thought that whilst we are currently living in lockdown in the UK, and now that I've finished uni for the academic year, I do of course have a few extra hours of spare time, I thought, why not let's carry on this Torchwood series for as long as I can. So there may be a few Torchwood reviews on the way over the summer period. Once I return back to uni, they may sort of go down to every so often again, very much like how they were at the back end of 2019 and into early 2020, only taking a look at the episodes that kind of really grabbed my attention, such as the likes of, say, Smashed and Dissected. However, this was another story that I was rather intrigued by, because the Torchwood series is one that I'm slowly but surely getting addicted to. So first off, and as always, in the description below there will of course be the link to go and buy this release from the Big Finish website. It's currently out now. The physical CD is £10.99 and the download is £8.99. As per usual, Big Finish are currently operating on a download order only basis, so if you order the physical CD, you will get it eventually. However, not yet. You will be able to get your parcel once non-essential workers can return back to work. If you are interested by what I say throughout this review, there is also of course some story details and the trailer that can be listened to on the Big Finish website. Funnily enough, since the previous review, and as you all know by now, I'm getting addicted to many different areas of Big Finish, I did in fact go away and order a few additional Torchwood stories. I listened to Night of the Fendal, featuring Eve Miles as Gwen Cooper, as well as The Hope, as written by James Goss, which funnily enough is another story to feature Bern Gorman as Dr. Owen Harper. So that was a really nice way to fade into this story, having listened to another episode of Bern in. And I think that overall Bern is a really interesting character, or at least Owen is, as a person, because he's one of the members of the Torchwood team that was there throughout the vast majority of Series 1. However, you got to know only what he wanted you to know as a character. He was rather mysterious overall, and kept a lot of personal things private, and I think that that is something that is also reflected rather nicely within the Big Finish audio dramas. However, this story starts to challenge those boundaries. We're starting to delve into the earlier life of Owen, prior to Torchwood's involvement within his life, and we start to see him as a regular everyday human being, which is quite a rarity for adventures in the likes of the Torchwood range, where we are kind of used to the Torchwood team being these people above everybody else in society due to what they're being exposed to and the alien tech that they have at their disposal. So starting off this review by taking a look at the production credits, because something that I've noticed with the Torchwood releases is that each individual one has a brilliant production. I think every single story does such a good job of atmospherically letting you be involved within the situation of the episode and kind of submersing you within the events with the different characters. So with that, the director is Scott Handcock, the music has been created by Blair Moat, the producer is James Goss, the script editor is David Llewellyn, and of course this episode has been written by Grace Knight, and the executive producers are Nicholas Briggs and Jason Haig-Ellery, with CD cover art by Lee Binding. So as I've mentioned, so far I've listened to a lot of Torchwood main range stories that span quite a variety of different locations. For example, The Hope is a story set on a rather remote Welsh moor, and it was very foggy and wintry throughout the episode, and you felt rather isolated whilst listening to the story. Likewise, Night of the Fendal was an episode that was rather gothic and spooky, and it felt like you were within a rather haunted house. And this episode follows a rather similar style to that of Torchwood Dissected, where it is a rather clinical environment. We are in a hospital, much like how we were within that story, and we have lots of people who are currently unwell within a hospital, and Owen needs to figure out what is going on. And I think that that is the key thing that keeps this story going for the bulk of its narrative. As per usual, and as with the vast majority of Torchwood main range adventures, this is a 1 hour duration story, and it does in fact have a very small cast list. Taking a look at the credits for this story, we have Bern Gorman as Owen Harper, we have Maiasaura as playing Amira, and we have Lowry Walton as playing Lucy, and she is the patient within the hospital. So this story, we only have 1 patient and 2 doctors, and because of that, you have this relationship that is rather challenged actually throughout this story, and we get to know every single character and their background as to where they've came from. And I think that is definitely the thing that keeps this story going, the close connection between all of the characters, and more importantly the flaws with the different characters and kind of the faults that they pick with each other. Amira is an interesting character and is the main contribution of the story that kind of reveals the certain aspects of Owen's past, because she is a doctor that in fact qualified with Owen Harper prior to Torchwood when he was a medical student, so we have the teenage version of Owen almost being referred to, and we start to hear about him being a little bit more of an everyday person who has his hair gelled back and he's kind of just a social guy. However, after the death of one of their friends, being Kate, who was also a doctor, you would naturally expect both of these characters, due to knowing Katie, in fact bonding over that loss and getting each other through that event. However, what happens is in fact Amira remains at the hospital and Owen vanishes off the face of the earth. Some in fact think that he's been taken away by a hospital due to him being mentally unwell, and others think more mysterious things have been going on, such as him being employed by a mysterious organisation that of course is classified that he can't talk about, which, as of course we all know, that is Torchwood. And we get to see this rather awkward situation where Amira has phoned Owen up in the middle of the night, and basically he thinks it's just a massive drama to get them back together, to get them back talking and kind of talk things over about the loss of Katie, and delve into that past that Owen doesn't really want to look back on 18 months ago. As I say, it's one of those stories that goes into Owen's past, however it still leaves quite a lot a mystery. I think we get a little bit of a glimpse into why Owen is as reserved as he is, because he keeps a lot of things to himself, especially when it comes to relationships and emotions with other people, and perhaps this is one of those stories that highlights those struggles that he has as a character. Overall, I do also think that Maiasaura does a very good job as Amira. I think that she had a great part to play throughout that story, and I think that more importantly she felt real as a character, which given the context of the episode is in fact rather unusual. I think that she portrayed a good medical doctor, which is nice and a great comparison compared to Owen, considering that he has all of this alien technology. It is nice to have a doctor that is an actual doctor without the use of this alien technology. They are just an everyday person doing your usual medical things, and Owen is kind of put back into that world again throughout this story. We see him doing normal everyday medical practices as opposed to the extraterrestrial alien stuff that you come to expect in your usual Torchwood story. It's not to say this episode isn't without its monster or villain. This episode does indeed have a monster, and it is the main reason why the episode is called Iceberg. And as with the vast majority of Torchwood audio dramas, I'm not really going to discuss the monster of the piece in too much detail, because this is one of those stories, and as with a lot of the Torchwood main range adventures, where it feels like a puzzle, it feels like a mystery, and as a listener, certainly for me, it feels like when you are listening to the story play out, and as you are introduced to all of the characters, it feels like you are constantly looking over the different lines of dialogue, and you are trying to work out what exactly is going on with these characters, who is telling the truth, who is lying, what is the monster of the story, and this episode is definitely one of those. You're trying to figure out what is going on, what is the monster's main wants for the episode, and overall I think it's quite a good way to tell a story. It's one of those episodes that doesn't give you all of the facts. By the very end, you're still a little bit unsure. It's in fact a very similar case to that of the Series 4 story Midnight within Doctor Who, where we have the whole creature of Midnight lurking around the sides of the space shuttle, and by the end of the episode, you still don't quite know what that monster is. I think that regardless of the alien involvement throughout this story, it is still a rather gritty, human, emotional drama, delving into characters overall and how they respond to different situations. We do of course have Lucy as the patient who is suffering from rather coma-esque symptoms. However, she keeps on waking up and talking to her sister. However, her sister died many years ago. Chloe Rolton does do a very good job as Lucy. I think that she once again is rather real, and I like the fact that she is clinging to the loss of her sister. It's very emotional and again very human. I like the way that it is approached, and I like the alien spin on it as well, and overall it keeps the story going. It's definitely the backbone of the episode, the whole idea of her losing her sister and her waking up and talking to her apparent ghost, and then of course Amira and Owen trying to figure out exactly what is going on. So this is a perfect example of one of those stories that is completely carried by the characters involved, and they are the ones, especially Burn Gorman, that bring the story to life and give it that gritty character element. And to add to the spookiness of this episode, the entirety of the hospital is rather quiet. All of the staff are in fact at home. The hospital overall is in fact working on a skeleton staff in the middle of the night. So it's one of those spooky Torchwood stories where you kind of feel like monsters are lurking around the corner and you're kind of waiting for those jump scares to happen. I did in fact do a very quick search on the Big Finish website as to what other stories Grace Knight has written, and it appears she's not really written very much. I think that this is her first contribution to the full cast Torchwood main range, and I think that for a first contribution it is a very strong story. It's rather experimental, it's quite different, but also at the same time it does the stuff that Doctor Who doesn't do. It's one of those things that is rather, as I say, adult and gritty, and it goes into those darker human emotions the Doctor Who kind of fades away from. So overall, that is that for my Torchwood main range review of Iceberg, as written by Grace Knight, which did of course feature Burn Gorman as Dr. Owen Harper. Overall, a gritty human drama with lots of emotions and character development, and made for a rather spooky and mysterious listen. If you've listened to this story, why not leave your thoughts in the comments section below, and generally what other stories from the Torchwood main range do you recommend? Who knows, over the lockdown period I might go and purchase a few more Torchwood main range stories of the ones that people recommend overall as being some of the best from the series, which is the beauty again of this line. You can pick and choose what ones suit your interests and what ones you think you will enjoy listening to. It's not one of those series that has lots of character plot arcs. It's not one of those ones that you have to listen to in order. It's another one of those great dramas that you can simply sit down for an hour, listen to and enjoy. So thanks once again for watching this review of Torchwood Iceberg. I hope you have enjoyed it, and do of course stay tuned on The Host Productions for brand new Doctor Who content each and every week. Bye for now.